Good morning, and thank you for being with us. We begin our program this morning talking about getting vehicles registered and some of the frustration you've shared with us about challenges getting appointments at the DMV. DMV Commissioner Tony Guerrera recently paid a visit to Studio A and addressed these concerns. Take a look. Commissioner, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Eric.
We heard from people. We have a submission form on WFSB.com. Tell us something you want us to look into. And people who were frustrated came to us and said, I'm trying to get an appointment. I go on the online schedule and I can't get one. Have you guys been hearing that, and how comes that was happening?
Sure. And let's start from the beginning. Absolutely, we have heard that. In fact, I think it was one of your colleagues even brought it to our attention. Sure. But Eric, the Real ID has had an effect on a lot of people, right? In 2011, DMV and the state of Connecticut started issuing Real ID, all right? And they knew the day was going to come. We kept postponing it. COVID hit. They postponed it again. And now they said May 7th was the deadline. Now, we knew we were going to get some type of backlog, so we planned on extra days, Mondays, extended hours, and so forth. But it just overwhelmed our appointment system. The appointment system, I want to be clear, is working very, very well. People love it. They come in, they get their transactions done within 10, 15 minutes, and they leave. But we knew we had to take care of these individuals. So what did we do? We started to open up called walk-ins on certain days, certain hours.
So the appointment system, and you were explaining this to me before we started, it only lets you book out so far in advance. So you may look today and say, oh, there's no appointments. But tomorrow that could change. And so people, if they are frustrated, they should keep looking.
Absolutely. And thank you for bringing that up, because we try to do a rollout every 2 weeks, a block every 2 weeks. But what we also did is we held back some of the appointments that we release every other day. So if Eric looked today, obviously we're closed, so nothing's out there. But if he looks tomorrow, he's probably going to see a multiple of registration appointments and licensing appointments.
So if you're frustrated, keep looking.
Keep looking.
Tell me about those walk-ins, because that's kind of, we're talking old school DMV. I mean, that's how it was for everybody before you had the appointments.
And wasn't it funny? The old school, like, people hated it, right? The lines were out into the parking lot, and so that has completely changed. But what we did, Eric, we said, listen, we've got people that need to register a vehicle. They've got the Real ID. Their appointments are booked up maybe, and they need it ASAP. So what we did, we allow walk-ins on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays between 8 and 12, and on Thursdays from 9:30 to 12:30. Now, you're probably asking why Thursday's a little different, but we open up later on Thursday and we stay later. But we ask people to come in if it's an urgency. And I say urgency, if you bought a car and you need that car to get back and forth to work, I get it. We all get it. So come on in, we'll register the car. If you have to have your license done, and you need it, you say it's important, we'll get it done. But Eric, what I want people to realize, you don't have to have the Real ID to drive, all right? If you're traveling domestically and you don't have a trip planned till December, you got plenty of time to come in and get your license done.
Well, and like you said, this was a requirement from 2011. I mean, I also wrote papers in school at 11 o'clock the night before they were due. But people did have since 2011. Tell me about the Real ID, because there's been so much coverage, especially since May when this went into effect. It's just an extra level of verification that your folks are doing?
Yeah, as you know, after 9/11, 2001, Congress enacted that the Real ID would go in effect to say, you are who you are. And how do they verify that? We want to see a birth certificate, passport, Social Security that says that Eric Parker is who Eric Parker is based upon social and birth certificate.
Well, and I told you, we do a lot of probate work at my law office, and we got a lot of calls from people saying there's some discrepancy in my paperwork, and your folks are saying, well, we can't connect those dots. It's not a DMV issue. You got to go to probate and get a decree.
Absolutely. These are all federal mandates that are put on us that we can't just say, I get it. You know, I know who you are.
You got married, you got divorced, you got whatever.
Right, but I need that certificate that says that who you are is what it says on here. And if it's a married name and it's not your name before, it has to show that.
Obviously, we talked about the releasing of appointments and things like that, but as time goes on, this Real ID frenzy will probably quiet down.
Yeah, you know, Eric, that's a good point, because what we're seeing too is that it's starting to slide back down a little bit because the appointments are staying out there longer. And we're about 75%, 74% compliance with Real ID because we did start in 2011. So we are ahead of the curve. And again, we're never going to get to 90%, Eric, because people may never get the Real ID, and seniors may never get the Real ID. But for the most part, there is a gap there that people need it, and they've waited, you know, as we know, a long time, and now they want to get it done as soon as possible.
I want to hit some other important DMV topics that our viewers may be thinking about, and first is those scam texts, because I've gotten them, my parents have gotten them, lots of people have gotten them. They can be a little goofy. You know, mine said the Ministry of Transportation was going to suspend my license, but you got to worry about people falling for that. So
absolutely
not something the DMV, the real DMV, would ever do.
Yeah, I didn't know I was part of the ministry, first of all, but you know, with that said, we do not send out texts. The Department of Motor Vehicles did not send out texts for anything that says we're collecting fees or registration fees. The only text you'll get maybe is about the appointment, and that's totally different. You see that scam, you delete it as soon as possible. In fact, the Federal Bureau of Investigation has already said that. They sent out memos and a wide alert throughout emails and texts. Delete that mail.
Also interesting, in the last year, 4,000 new themed plates, whether they're those Long Island Sound plates or there were pizza plates last year, Yukon plates. The pizza plates on our viewers' screens right now. People love these things.
People love plates. They like to have a certain image with their plate, whether it's Long Island Sound, whether it's pet friendly, whatever it is. People love identifying themselves with license plates.
And then also people like those vanity plates where they can, you know, put a message on there to the world. But some messages, 361 of them in 2024, they were no good. I know we have a graphic we can show with the reasons why DMV might, you know, somebody else already has it, too many characters. Request deemed offensive. You know, some of them, you know, not slow was one that was rejected. All right, I get it. You know, you got to have people follow the law. I saw LFG Mets, so I'm a Mets fan. I know the L is Let's, the G is Go, the F, well, that might be why it got rejected.
And it's funny, Eric, that you say that because times are changing, right? Well, what might have been okay maybe 20 years ago isn't good today. And so we have to look at different, you know, explanations of what that means, whether it's Urban Dictionary, whether it's Google. So our team researches it out, and we err on the side of caution. If we think it's offensive, we don't allow it.
Just 30 seconds left, but you know, people sometimes being the commissioner of the DMV, people might be like, oh, Tony, you know, is the message just that you're trying to help people, like with the appointments and everything else? What do you want people to know as we close out this interview?
And thank you for allowing me to say something here, is that we will do our very best to take care of people that have an urgency to get a transaction done. As you can see, Eric, we have opened our doors on Mondays. We've stayed late. We allowed walk-ins. I get it. All right, we will do everything in our power because we understand the frustration they're going through, but understand too that we will do our very best, and there's a capacity there. That's all we can handle to make sure that we get those transactions done.
A lot of good information there from the commissioner. He wants you to know the walk-in availability is Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to noon, Thursdays from 9:30 to noon, and they do want you to know this is on a temporary basis while they get caught up.